what are the commonalities between the entrepreneurs that really, really make it happen in your program?
We'll say on mental because they don't show their tears. That's one thing. I'm kind of joking about it. They don't show the pain, right? Seriously, because they move on. They move past it. Brandon and Kaylin Poulin, who said, do what Russell said, right? Hashtag do what Russell said. You want to be able to follow through, right? Trust the process in the beginning. Make sure you're dealing with someone who has a broad enough process, and test the process, trust and test, and avoid the internal desire to innovate.
Welcome to Unreasonable Autonomy. My name is Sarah Grace. This is the podcast for entrepreneurs and innovators who refuse to settle. Here we dive deep into raw, real conversations with boundary pushers who have pursued seemingly impossible ideas and yet have achieved unreasonable results, whether that's in their faith, relationships, health, politics, yes, even business. All of those conversations are happening right here, right now. So let's buckle up, because this isn't about playing it safe. Unreasonable ideas, unstoppable results. Let's go. I am so honored to welcome Vince Green to the podcast today. Vince is a business coach and revenue strategist who helps expert entrepreneurs turn their knowledge into scalable, predictable income. With over 9 years of experience, he's coached thousands of business owners, from solo consultants to multi-million-dollar teams, on building high-converting offers, simplifying growth systems, and mastering sales psychology. A 2 Comma Club Award winner and the creator of the Vince OS, he's passionate about helping entrepreneurs implement what works, not just learn it. Vince brings a practical, no-fluff approach to building businesses that thrive. And on a more personal note, I had one job on this interview with Vince Green. I firmly believe that Vince Green has one of the hardest jobs in the entrepreneurial world, coaching entrepreneurs. So I wanted to know, why does he do it? What is it that makes Vince Green tick? Get ready for a thriving conversation. Let's go.
You guys, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome to Unreasonable Autonomy. You guys, Vince Green is here. Hi, Vince. So glad you're here.
Hey, so glad to be here, Sarah Grace.
You guys, this is kind of full circle moment for me. I have been intrigued by the Vince Green for years. Like, I would dare say it's been almost 4 years that I have known who you were, and I've watched you and I've observed you. And I luckily got to spend a week in Mexico with you at the Mastermind in Paradise event just recently, which was incredible. But really, let me tell you what is near and dear to my heart. I believe that you have one of the hardest jobs on earth.
I do.
You do, admittedly so. So you are really kind of a head honcho as part of the Prime Mover Mastermind program. So you are a coach to entrepreneurs who are looking to make that first million and beyond in their businesses. And I cannot think of a harder job out there. Are you still in agreement with me?
I say in many ways, yes, and I think that's what we're here to explore today. So this is going to be amazing.
It is, and just your longevity in that program and your excitement for it, and the fact you want to be there is absolutely contagious. And so I am fascinated by this whole idea of someone like Vince. What makes him tick? Like what lights him up? What keeps him going? What keeps him encouraging entrepreneurs to keep trying and try again? And what about this? It's kind of a thankless job in a lot of ways. And it can also be really, really draining on the soul. So tell me a little bit about what got you into the space of loving to coach entrepreneurs.
Wow, that's amazing. So my love of coaching goes back to my corporate days, and I'm going to save a lot of time and not go into it. But I caused a big move kind of across the country, and I'm in Canada. I caused a big move for myself by going from finance to sales managing. And this was something that I wanted to do. But when I landed here in Calgary, one of the things that I realized that I had this amazing team of salespeople, and I didn't know how to manage them. I mean, the day-to-days and the numbers and, all of the processes, no problem. But I didn't really understand what was going on behind the scenes. I couldn't see it. And so in 2005, I know it's a little bit of time ago, but I engaged with Suzanne Skiffington and Perry Zeus from the Behavioral Coaching Institute. They're out of Australia. They were going to New York City. They had a 7-day symposium, and it was like, 9 people in the room, and we're going to go deep into all these things. And, when I think back to the time, even in the room, I was way out of my element. But as a lot of things happen, if you never forget the experiences that you go through, you start to read a little more. You go back to their books and you go, okay, wait a second. I was in this situation, or am going to be in this situation. What should I be doing? Right. And so I started to see value in the processes of coaching, but what they taught me. So I started to see, and it was very clinically orientated things that it's hard for me to remember all of them because it's that nature now. Right. And so I knew here's what I knew innately, maybe just luckily, that coaching provides opportunities for people from those that they need it from. I don't know how else to say it. From those that they need it from, coaching is a powerful interaction. And so, and part of coaching is ensuring that, the people are going through the training. They've put some things into practice. They have some experience with it, because otherwise it's not coaching, it's training. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to make sure that somebody is aware of what the training is, that they've put some things into practice, and kind of go from there. So that's where it started in 2005. And the reason I'll cut it short again. Please feel free to dig in if you want to go a little bit deeper. But when I was in corporate until, well, for many years, but in 2013, I had one of those moments where I'm sitting at a round table. There's 4 people in the room. There's me and someone else sitting across from me. We had no clue what's about to happen. These 2 people had a clue exactly what's going to happen. And they basically said, okay, you guys, we made you a bunch of promises, and not money related. They gave me everything they ever promised and that I was expected. So it was all good that way. But the future that they promised was like, yeah, that's not happening. And so I heard very little after that. And what I heard was, Vince, you need a new future. This is really not going to work for you. And so I shared this with you kind of, off mics, but, I kind of said to myself, you need to go be an entrepreneur because that's easy. And then,
oh, okay. Moment of silence here. Okay. Keep going. It's easy.
It's easy, right? Like, and you know what? We all know the staples, easy button. It's like, boom. And that's not what I was thinking, but I did learn very quickly that being an entrepreneur is not easy. Easy is a 4-letter word. And there's a lot of ease about it if you make it easy. But the challenge is, for a lot of us, we think that there's a step-by-step process. Oh, if I just go and do this, this, and this, right? My task when I decided to become an entrepreneur was to create software for the industry that I would in. So software as a service. Most people in our world understand this. I created a SaaS product. I am not a coder, but I did hire 11 people from around the world. We built a SaaS product and went to market with it. And I didn't know any better, but I just decided I was going to charge $700 a month. And it was a mid-ticket. And we went back to the marketplace. And everything worked out until we ran into a big giant called ADP. And if everybody knows ADP, they're a big company. And I needed a pipe in. I needed API. Now I understand it, but I didn't then. I needed an API pipe. And so we were up against it. And I decided that wasn't a fight that I wanted to fight. So I divested myself out of the SaaS product. I literally sold it. We were all good. But the opportunity at that time was to kind of then, once I went through that process, I know I'm jumping ahead really quickly, but going through that process, having success selling through webinars, a SaaS product, and then realizing that the only option for me was to sell it. And I had a ready buyer for a different reason. They had a different purpose. They could not solve the ADP problem either, but they had a different purpose for the actual code and everything. So I was able to get out of that. And part of that process of getting good at doing webinars was finding Russell in 2015 and finding Russell Brunson in 2015. And I found the software first. He wasn't really talking about Perfect Webinar at the time, but that was the thing, that the genesis that got me over to this side. And can I skip ahead a bit?
Yes.
Okay.
Go.
Okay, cool. Because so I was a customer of Russell's. I was a customer of ClickFunnels. I bought the books. I was, trying to figure things out. And for a couple of reasons, I couldn't figure it out. There was a bunch of things that led me to believe another light bulb moment like the easy button, which wasn't easy. Here's a good light bulb moment, which was Russell, as I'm going through the site looking for support docs on ClickFunnels, and I'm trying to figure a couple things out, and I see that Russell's actually looking for support people to just answer technical questions. Hey, we need some help. We've got a few people in. We'd like to hire a bunch more. So I applied for the job. I actually did a video. No, I'm not going to share it with anybody. Back in the day.
Come on, link it in the show notes. I want to see it.
Maybe offline. But so I made this video in, I'm gonna say mid to early November 2015, and I submitted it, and with my qualifications and everything. And I had some pretty good corporate roles and things like that. And I didn't hear anything back. I didn't hear anything back for the rest of 2015. I wasn't crushed. I kept working on things, but I thought they figured it out. Like, there's no way, for where I came from, and I don't have any skill sets for this. And then January 6th of 2016, I don't remember what day that was. I think it was like a Thursday or a Friday. Chris Moore, who was Russell's head of support, reached out to me, and he said, "Vince, if you can join us on Sunday evening for 4 hours, we're bringing 4 people in, and if you guys make it through this onboarding session, you start Monday morning. Does that work for you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that was amazing."
Months later, you got
months later. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, and you showed up.
And I showed up. And I knew that I was behind the 8 ball, right? Like I had a bunch of things to learn, and I didn't get any different access than the customers got, but I was able to have a team of people around me, right? And so felt my fellow support people. So yes, I started Monday, January 10th, 2016 as a support agent, making, okay money, but nothing that I was ever used to. But I knew I was there for a different reason. Like, you ever feel like you're on a mission? Like, there's a reason why. Like, and if anybody does the math, depending on the day that you're watching this from the day of the recording here, it's about 9.5 years ago. Yeah. I thought I'd be there for a little while, right? And I'd learn my thing.
And pause right here, Vince. When you think about that moment of when you showed up on that Sunday night or that 4-hour block or whatever, how has that decision shaped your future?
It shaped my future and indirectly many others. And that thread of coaching runs through that.
Tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
From that decision.
Yeah.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question in follow-up to that. I love that you had that moment with corporate where you were like, "Oh my gosh, this is not going to take me where I want to be," right? I imagine most people listening here have chosen entrepreneurship for the same reason. Right? For the same reason, and often are brought into entrepreneurship from marketers or webinars or experiences that do tout that it is easy, right? And that it's freedom, and that it's success, and that it's yachts, and that it's all. Did that just pause for you?
Yeah, just for a second.
Okay. I think we're back. Okay. So when you look at yourself as a coach now, what could we as the industry do better to for sure sell our offers and for sure sell our products and services, but be realistic about the effort and the grind and the mindset and all of that component? Like, how do we stay in integrity in a stronger way? Because that's a word I associate with you, is like honest and integrity driven and thoughtful, and you care about people. So how do we do that in a way that markets well and also delivers well?
Wow, great question. Yeah, really good question. The short version I'll get to in just a second. I just want to make sure that I give credit to Russell and Todd and all the team for what they created for us all to be able to come in and do this, because that cannot be missed, right? That cannot be missed. Like, we're all participants, and as they were, and they've transcended all that. But for all of us that are participants in this, it really is a special moment. Even for those that hear this and you're like, well, that time has passed. No, the opportunities are there for everybody today. And so to give context, I was there for maybe a month and a half. And then Russell had a coaching program. Somebody needed to be the coach. And that's where I came in. And I started, and we had a curriculum and I was able to follow it, and it was just through the repetition of getting better. And so the thing about, if there's something that we in this industry can do, we form buyer personas, we form offers, we make presentations, we understand, most businesses have constraints, whether they observe those constraints or they're unobserved, or they just want to be unreasonable about the constraints around them.
Good word.
Right? Maybe they just want to be unreasonable. Like with these constraints, the average bear, you can find, 3 bushes of blueberries, but we're going to find 50, right?
Right. That sounds like my life, Vince. I feel very called out in this moment.
Right? It's okay to be unreasonable.
Yeah.
But all of the things that we do when a customer's not in front of us. Once a customer, client, you call them what they were, but and by the way, free is still a customer.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so even if they download your 3 steps to creating the hook in your hook story offer, even if that's what you're doing, it has to be so good that it meets them where they are at, no matter where they are actually at. Right? This is the thing, right? If anybody has ever come into my sessions, and I've done live trainings on behalf of the team with 260 people, and this obviously doesn't play out, but my goal is to use language and words that helps everybody know that we're about to meet you where you are at. Right. So beautiful. I don't want people that have already made their first 100,000 waiting for me to take someone who has just invested their first $27 in Russell's book, right? Something like that. And maybe it's the books are not that much, but average order value, all those kind of things, right? So there's an art to understanding that the systems and the processes when people are going through coaching or let's stay on coaching. It's true for training as well, but that the thing that is going to shift for them is their skills, knowledge, experience, capabilities, abilities, their future for their families, their future for these kind of things. Like this is what's at stake here. These are really the stakes, right? And so our job as coaches is to make sure that this is understood for everybody that's in the room. And so we rarely, if ever, like when we're doing webinars, it's scripted. There's a reason we're going through things. We're creating a system. But through that whole thing, the where coaching comes into selling or marketing or anything is that you need to give people enough room, space inside up here, even if they don't move their lips, up here, to be able to answer the questions. Where am I today? What's important to me? Where am I going? And as we're going to talk about, why am I doing this? How do I get there? And if I get there, how do I know I've actually got a win? And that's the most important thing for people, right? So when I say talk about the unreasonable constraints, right? That whole area is it's okay. It's okay to be unreasonable about those constraints because maybe it'll push you. Like if you know yourself, that's great. But as Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who actually joined us in Mexico, which was incredible. Right? As he talks his one book about Be Your Future Self Now is about the first frame of his that says, okay, make decisions from your future self. Help Vince in let's say in 2030. You don't have to go far out. Vince of 2030, 2035, 2040. Yeah. What would he answer if I said today, hey, what do I need to do should I pick this product or this product, right? Where am I going with this? And if you understand yourself, you should be able to kind of answer that, right? So when it comes to our coaching, we need to seek to ask the questions first, get people thinking, and we're looking for feedback because we're not looking to coach someone just on, say, the perfect webinar. We're looking to coach that particular person through the perfect webinar process And there could be 70 or 700 people in the room. You're speaking to the spirit of each of those individuals.
Wow. And I am so intrigued by this concept. And so I so admire your approach that looking at the people you are coaching and recognizing that their experience in that program, their experience one-on-one with you has a price to it. There is a future at stake, I believe is what you said. There is something at stake. And I think one of two things happens with coaches. Number one is they don't really take it seriously, and they just kind of, vomit strategy out to whoever they're talking to, and they don't ask questions. They just do this or price it here. Yeah, do a challenge or whatever. And they just vomit, this idea, and they don't care about what is at stake for the person across from them. Or there is a person that is sitting across from a client that is a coach, and they recognize what is at stake, and they don't trust themselves to ask enough questions to get the answers that they need. And that's what's been so fascinating about watching you coach in Prime Movers. I watched you coach a Funnel Hacking Live speaker. Looking through these experiences is you are simply unafraid to not know the answer. You will keep asking the questions until you know that you have enough that you can actually give them something that will help them step into their future. It's admirable, Vince. It's admirable.
All right. Well, thank you. But there is a belief here. There's a belief behind it, which is in most cases, they might not know how to turn the red button blue. Okay. That's a technical coaching thing. But in most cases, coaching a Funnel Hacking Live speaker, and I don't do it a lot, but a lot of them I know. And so sometimes they come over that we have a conversation or whatever it is. I really believe that in some manner, the answer is within them, right?
Amen.
Yeah, because again, you can't coach someone who hasn't been prepared. You can't coach someone who hasn't done the training. You can't coach someone who hasn't watched Russell break down a webinar on the old Funnel Fridays, and today it's the Funnel Drop. If you don't see him, the team, breaking things down, then you really haven't done yourself a service. But most people that I work with, thank you, they have done the work, right? Yeah. That's the position that I put myself in. So, and then you're like, well, are you sure you did? Didn't somebody give it to you? Well, we all have to fight for what we want. We all have to fight for the chair that we possess, right? We all have to do this and to get what we want. And so we have an amazing team on the One Funnel Away, Your First Funnel. In the past, there's always programs that are out there, reading Russell's books. And when someone's done nothing, my only coaching is, okay, there's 3 books. 2 of them we can start with. Are we at this position or are we at this position? Where are we going? Right? Because we're going to pick one of them, and then that's where you're going to go. And then I'm going to pick up the book, and you're going to say, I'll go buy this one, Vince. Okay, cool. And again, I'm not here to spend anybody's money, but you're not going to make forward progress without some level of investment. So, and then I'll pick up the book and go, okay, here's 3 things that I want you to focus on. What are your goals? What do you want to be doing? And I don't know doesn't work, right? There's got to be something. There's a reason that you're here. When somebody says, I don't know, they just don't want to be wrong. And it's like, oh, no. Being wrong is okay. If you think you're going to do a webinar and you want to do the webinar and it all makes sense, and we put you into that, and then you're like, oh, wait a second, that was a little bit too advanced. Okay, come back. And then we know, right? This is what we do, right? 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but 2 steps forward. You keep kind of doing those things, and suddenly you're in a totally different space as a new individual who has new capabilities and abilities.
Oh, I love this. I love that. And I've seen it firsthand in your sessions. So let me ask you a follow-up question. When you brought up the idea that Benjamin Hardy spoke in Mexico and his amazing books and major light bulbs, watching him teach there live, one of the things that he talks about is, setting a future, right? Who is that future self? Defining who that is. How do they operate? What is their life like? Getting really specific, 10x goal, impossible goal, whatever you want to call it, right? He says it in many different ways.
Unreasonable goals. Unreasonable goals.
Oh, that's going to be mine. Unreasonable goals. I love it, Vince. I love that you're branding me in this session. This is such an honor.
Awesome.
Okay. So nearly every book starts with some sort of what is your why? Because that drives everything, right? Benjamin Hardy included, right?
Yeah.
So where do we as entrepreneurs go wrong when we determine our why? Because I swear, Vince, we've all got real powerful whys and we still doom scroll and we still don't publish every day and we still haven't read all of Russell's books and we still don't show up to calls. Like, what's happening there with the why?
That's a good question. It really is. It's a good question. And I have someone in my life that I would tell you is exemplary at this. And this might seem boring. It's a good four-letter word, and it's called plan. And when I look at most people's calendars, if I do say like, hey, like open up your calendar, and look, mine on most days isn't much different, but whether it's written down or not, I know what happens in the morning, right? I know what happens no matter what time I wake up, because for me, that's a variable for all sorts of different reasons. But mostly because I spend half my time in this time zone and another time zone that's like 8 hours away. So there's all sorts of things going on. But when I'm up, I know what's going to happen. I know that, I'm going to get ready for the day. I know exactly what's going to happen. First thing, what I'm going to be eating, out for a morning walk. I know exactly pretty much where we're going to go. And it's a little bit different. And then come back. And then it's like, okay. And in a lot of cases, I haven't even checked my phone yet. I mean, oh my gosh, you haven't checked your phone yet? Like, no, there's, I'm anticipating that 360 some days of the year, there's no 911 notice on my phone that I need to get to. So those are the kind of things that are important. And I think that, a lot of parents wake up with their kids in the house, and those are some instant reminders of the why, right? A lot of folks get up in the morning and they drive to their business, or they drive to their responsibility. Let's just say they drive to their responsibility. And so it kicks in. And so, but what happens with us, me included, is that we have this ephemeral thing of, oh, it's just a matter of time for me. Like, I got this, right? Like, oh yeah, it's a beautiful day out here. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. Calgary Stampede's going to start. I probably need a new pair of jeans. Yeah, I'll go get them, whatever, And it's kind of like you come back and like, where's that LinkedIn post, Vince? Oh, it's on my plan. I'm going to sit down and write it, right? Or like, that's why, and you mentioned calls, and I'll just kind of say for everybody who's ever paid money to have a coach and misses out on these kind of things, misses out on the participation, misses out on helping a fellow member in these programs. Yeah, it's a miss. That's all it is, right? Like you should be participating in this, and you don't have to go every time, but you have to have a cadence. So I go back to what I see works, which is a plan. And without a plan, there's going to be misses. And the beautiful thing is, whatever pen you have or whatever delete button you have, if you want to make a change, it is your plan. You can change it if you want. But the thing is, it can't be done because there's future. There's something that can be done tomorrow. I don't know if we've, at some point we need to talk about like the future self. I think I did earlier, like Vince from 5 years later, 10 years later, 15 years later. If I could text that person, he would say, dude, you got all the jeans you need. Sit your butt in the chair, get that LinkedIn post done. You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
And so I think it's not that it's not front and center. It's not that it's not a level 10. It's that in a lot of cases, and hopefully we get some time today to talk about the why and the way and the wins, right? Because in some ways it feels like that thing that we're supposed to check the box on. No, we're supposed to walk around with it on a t-shirt in front of our faces. That's really what we're supposed to do, right? And sometimes some people are fortunate, they have their why right in front of them. They see whatever it is, if it's your kids, if it's your parents, or if it's whatever it is, right? And there's a lot of people that encourage you to write it down, to revisit it on a regular basis. No need to mention any names, but that's what they do, right? It's kind of part of the program. And so what you have to ask yourself if you're listening to this, is if it's not part of the program, because, we can't do it for everybody as well. And it's not about accountability. Accountability is a whole other thing, but it's like your decisions need to be based on the why, need to be based on your values, the things that you hold dear and true. And that's kind of what, if there's something that, I can do to help myself and maybe you and maybe others, it's just to understand, like, make sure it's part of your plan, that your why is right in front of you. And, why could be because you want to make $1 million. There's nothing wrong with that. But you want to go, okay, I want to make $1 million. Why? And, you work with Katie Richardson. I've worked with Katie Richardson. It's kind of like you want to go as many levels deep where you really just understand, okay, that's visceral. That's kind of right here. That's get it to the point. Can we go there? Get it to the point. It's an unreasonable why. How's that?
Unreasonable why, right? People would be crazy if you think you were crazy if you said it out loud. And this whole idea of behind your own really mentality behind it's the why and the way and the when is so intriguing to me. It's a bit of a paradox when you talk to a coach about something like this, because often as entrepreneurs, we build a program and we have coaching calls and we have accountability and we have all of these experiences people can have. And maybe 20% of people are engaged, or maybe 80% of people are engaged in the program or never even log in. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced that. I'm sure I've been that student. It just happens everywhere. And I think that there is a pull within coaches to be like, well, I'm providing all the opportunity and they're not showing up. And so that's on them. Versus also the other side of it, where coaches feel deeply responsible and give up or give in because they can't seem to get people to move or to act within those programs. And that's why you have one of the hardest jobs ever, is you care about people, and you've got people who have probably never logged in. Right. And then you've got people who, make commitments to do things, and then next week they haven't done anything. I mean, that's just entrepreneurship, right? That's the 4-letter word of it being easy, right? So what is it about this framework that could help coaches and entrepreneurs understand themselves and their coaching programs of the why, the way, and the when, and how can that help us serve people better?
Okay. All right. So we talked about our whys, right?
Right.
And you might have one, you might have two, you might have three, but there's a reason why you get up in the morning. There's a reason. There's a reason why. And we all, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like we got our basics, and probably when we're starting out, we're not talking about self-actualization, really. I mean, we might guess at it, right? But knowing our reasons why is very important. And for me, I'm at that point now where I'm never going back to corporate. I'm unemployable. A lot of us who have had some success, this is what, we're literally unemployable, right? Mm-hmm. And so the opportunity is for us to really understand, I think, the why we do this, okay, and our wins. Very, very specific. Why can be something that in many ways you cannot point to. Right? Like the why is you can write it, but the wins, you can always point to a win. Okay. You can always point to the smile on your kid's face. You can always point to whatever it is. You can point to, your investment portfolio. You can always point to the trip, the tickets inside of the email that say, hey, the family's going here.
Yeah.
You can always point to the win. And I'm open. Maybe there's something I can't point to. I get it.
Sure.
But
makes sense to me.
But I think it's that thing that you can always point to a win. And so you should be able to, if nothing else, you can point to a win. So now you know why you're doing it. Now you know what needs to be, okay, I'm going to use a word, what needs to be manifested. Okay, because it probably doesn't exist. I know.
Let's go. Let's do it. I want to hear.
No. You know what? I'm the least. Okay, all the woo-woos out there, love you. And, but I'm the least woo-woo person in the world, and I'm the biggest woo-woo magnet. And I, yes, many of you told me why that is. And okay, I'll accept it. But I'll just use that word of, because it doesn't exist. And if there's a better word, great. Somebody tell me and I'll use it. But this thing that you have as a win doesn't exist. Your 2 Comma Club award, if you're hanging around Russell and you really want a 2 Comma Club award, it doesn't exist. Yeah, you can draw it out like Dana Derrick. You can draw it on the wall, black marker. You could, print it out. You could, pen your name in it. The whole thing about visualization, powerful, very powerful thing. But it doesn't exist yet. Your job is to make that real. Your job is to make that real. The 4 tickets, the family vacation. You've never been to Europe. You've never been again, whatever it is that you want to do. There's nothing wrong with what it is that you want. Your job is to make it come true. That's it. You know what it takes to make that come true. It could be time, it could be energy, money, people, all sorts of things. And, some of those things.
Pause. Do we really know what it takes to make it come true?
Okay. Let's look at what's one of your unreasonable wins. What could you point to? And again, if you something that you could call out, what do you think? Is there a win? Something that you would like, that you want for you, your family, something like that?
Yes. And I'm very practical. And so I work in numbers. That's typically how I do it in the business. And so I would say the win would be $1 million in revenue in a 12-month period.
Top line. Okay. All right. So what don't you know about that?
I talked to you about this in Mexico, but I know what I'm going to do to get there. We're going to launch this thing 10 times over the next 12 months.
Okay. But we can start to craft the path, right? We can start to we can start to do the math. Like I said, I didn't invent the expression, but everything's figure outable, right?
Yeah.
So all we need to do is just break it down into small enough chunks, line them all up, put them into our plan. And when we start to talk about the way, maybe I'm doing it already, but the way is not about manifesting it up here. It's actually moving your hands that actually, can do some things. Right. And there is, the thing that I think that's the hardest part about our business.
What is the hardest part?
We rarely see other people doing the work. Does anybody have a live cam, when their copywriter's writing, we rarely see the work. We know it happened. We can see the launch webinar. We know it happened, but we rarely see the work. We rarely understand. We're unable to, okay, I'm going to use the word. We're even unable to mimic somebody, right? Now you can do this.
This is so good.
Yeah. I mean, you could do this right now, the way Russell's running Fountainhead, you can do this, right? Fountainhead is one of the programs. It's the very first program you can find inside of Prime Mover, where you start working your perfect webinar. So but even still, it's hard to see someone actually doing the work. What we see is the instant output, but we don't see them where they can scribble and they can kind of do these things, which is why in-person workshops are great. Mexico was amazing, because why was Mexico amazing? In my opinion, we had tables, right? You could see people writing down notes. You could see them. Maybe they're just sitting there like that, but also you could see the people that are kind of going. So you could tell if you're watching a speaker and you're making notes and you look down, that other person's making notes. Says, hey, what did you write down? Did you get this? I missed this one word, those kind of things, right? And so we don't have the visuals all the time. When we play, if we're involved in athletics, we show up at practice. You can see everybody doing it, right? And you can see that.
Yeah, this is so good, because I think about your corporate days, and I think about how we actually solve for this by having people work in an office and see everybody working, common cause and all this stuff. And we could talk all about office mandates all you want, if you want to dive into that. But the reality is I remember being shocked. I have a coach right now, and I remember being like, I wish I could just watch you all day and see what you do. And he's like, Sarah, I'm in my basement with no windows on the computer. There's nothing magical that is going on, right? And I shouldn't have been so surprised, but that is literally the work for most of us, is alone
Well,
in a basement.
okay.
Go ahead. Go, Vince.
Well, that's the environment, but I wouldn't say that's the work, right?
Ooh.
It's not the work. What's the work? Okay, so imagine we could just talk it out loud, right? Like again, if somebody wants to do a podcast and they actually watched you and your team, if you had 6 cameras because you have team from around the world, and if there is 6 of them, whatever the number is, let's say 6 for now, and you guys all had cameras on, you were thinking out loud, those kind of things, right? And I know we're being unreasonable here for the listener to kind of expect, like, why are you guys going into this here? But just to make a point is that you picked up on it. What I said is that we don't have good models. We don't see the kind of thing that people go through. We kind of have to, watch and listen for it. So this is where, our live sessions and trainings really help. And, this is why testimonials are not that great. Like, testimonials are table stakes. We need them. They need to be there. But case studies and how and the things that we need to overcome. And, again, if you ever listen to ClickFunnels Radio right now, Chris Cameron and Ben Harris are on that podcast right now. They're the host of that podcast. It originated with Dave Woodward back in the day. And how do they run that? They run that through an Epiphany Bridge script, right? What was your desire? What were you up against? Like, you start to hear the actual process. Like, what are people going through? We need more of that. Like, what's the thought process? Okay. And when it comes to, like, this is really all part of the way, right? This is what we miss. People can talk all day long about their whys. They can talk I need to win a 2 Comma Club award. I've got my family. We're all booked for Las Vegas, so we're going to have everybody there. And it's kind of like, okay, now I got to get busy, but I don't know what to do, Vince. It's like, no, you do, right? Because if you start to work it backwards, most people want to work it forwards, but if you start to work it backwards, what do you actually need? And if we take the, typical funnel, typical value ladder, how many high ticket, how many mid ticket, how many book funnels, and then how many free stuff, and you just start working it back. It's not that hard. It's like, oh, I need to get busy. Yeah, you need to get busy and make investments, time, energy, money, these kind of things, whatever it is, right? So that's what coaching can do for us, right? That's what coaching can do. You can start to run it. You can start to run it backwards. But what coaching can't do is show the trials and tribulations, the nervousness, the kind of, okay, my budget's $1,500 this week, just for running ads. And how are we going to do that? Is my average order value going to kind of bring it back, right? So this is why the coach's job is to come back right away, so that if there's tweaks and things like that, like, talk to me early. Don't come next Monday and say, it bombed. I'm like, when did you know it bombed? Tuesday morning. Come on the call, right? Like, let's see. Maybe there's something. Maybe it's not. Maybe there isn't something. But maybe there is something that we can start to do. So, each showing the work is good. And, we all sell our frameworks. We all sell systems and processes. We all help people to do these things. But, we need to kind of talk through. Like you said, like in the office, I could walk around. I could see what our sales guys were doing. I could see what our finance guy were doing. I could see what the sales coordinator were doing when we had new vehicle launches, and that they were organizing the barbecue lunches and making sure that the trucks were cleaned. All these kind of things, you could see it, and everybody knew what everybody else was doing. And so, in a lot of cases, we spend a lot of time brainstorming instead of actually doing the work, and that's okay for a well-oiled machine. There's nothing wrong with that for a well-oiled machine. But for new entrepreneurs and for people that are maybe, working with if they're service providers and they're working with their first few clients, they want to look good, but we really need, like, conversations. What's the challenge? Where did I not provide enough clarity to my copywriter? Where did I not provide enough clarity to the designer? Where did I not provide enough clarity to the person who's doing the tracking, so that we can understand average order value, how things are going? Where do we not have enough clarity on these areas? So anyway, that's I can't remember how we got on this topic, but that whole thing of being able to show our work and the whole kind of thinking of it, it's not about being in the basement. It's about being able to share this with you and say, hey, like even I struggle sometimes with getting the hook and the story and the offer. Even I sometimes struggle with. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, we just have too many hats we want to wear. It's impossible. Right.
Right. And that's often just kind of the realities, like you said, the constraints or the restrictions of a new entrepreneur is they have to be very scrappy and very bootstrappy. And I think that they're very attracted to Russell and his potato gun in that realm where it was like, okay, I started scrappy and with poor video and selling something that was kind of weird. And here we go, that's an attraction point there. So let me ask you this question there, because you really have worked with tens of thousands of entrepreneurs across a huge, vast array of expertise. And when you look at this idea of establish your why, what is the way and how are you going to track the wins that you're actually accomplishing it? What are the commonalities between the entrepreneurs that really, really make it happen in your program, specifically like the mental commonalities that you think? Good. Yeah, go.
Okay, we'll say on mental because they don't show their tears. That's one thing.
Really?
No, I'm kind of joking about it, but they don't show the physical. They don't show the pain, right? Seriously, because they move on. They move past it, right? That's the whole thing. Wow. I just wanted to make light of that in that session because it does happen, right? There's times when you just got to go for a walk, but there's also times when you're like you want to high five somebody and you're like the only one in the basement and it's dark and there's no windows and you're high fiving yourself, right? So there is that, but I think that I would tell you that it was Brandon and Kaylin Poulin who said, "Do what Russell said," right? # do what Russell said. And back in the day, and again, things have changed a lot, so I'm not sure that strategy. But what they were doing would work, but kind of doing that still applies, right? Whoever you invest in, you trust in, that's part of the process because you want to be able to follow through, right? And if you don't understand something, you should be in a program where you can ask. And if you bought the book and you're trying to figure it out, then go take, if it's Russell's book and Russell's funnel, go take the funnel and see, oh, I see how it applies. Okay, that's what this is exactly what he's doing because actually with Russell, he's still doing the same thing, right?
Right.
It works today. It works. Whatever in expertsecrets.com secrets still works today. Traffic secrets still works today. And so you can, if you're looking at the right funnel you're trying to apply, you can actually do it. But if you're in programs where you can go and you can ask, then you can get it because the job is to work with people who can give you some guidance and then look at the results that you have, find out where the holes are. Right. Sometimes, if you're not getting enough people in, then it's at the front end. And if you're getting enough people in, but they're not buying, then it's at the back end. And because you cannot innovate the process. If the process works, I've seen it, you've seen it. I think you've seen it, right? Where it's like, it just continues to work. So it's not the process. There might be some things that you need to innovate for your ideal buyer persona. Might be, but trust the process in the beginning. Make sure you're dealing with someone who has a broad enough process and is not taking from 5 people that this happened to work for that are not in your industry at all. Again, there's a difference, functionally there's a difference between e-commerce and experts, right? There's a lot of different ways. I mean, the way we run business. But this is why people, for not a lot of money, like realistically, share their frameworks, provide coaches, and put people into a position to be able to do it. Afterwards, if you want to take your own money and start to innovate on the things that they've taught you, fantastic. But why not get the results first? Why not go in, understand your audience, apply what they've taught you, to a point, and I think the last thing that I'll kind of say on this is that you need to get enough numbers to be statistically relevant. Statistically relevant. Let's say for a front end free lead magnet or a book funnel or a webinar, it's 500. right? Get
Mhm.
500 people through. And I'm not giving you a rule. I'm just, you might find statistical relevance earlier than that, but the reality is like you need to have something statistically relevant and that's predictable and repeatable, and understand the temperature of the market. So we're not giving advice here on how to run campaigns, but just the fact that there's a lot of people in our world who have developed their own frameworks versus copied. And if they've developed their own frameworks, they're really good at helping you to put these together. Trust the process to the point that you can, and test the process, trust and test, and avoid the internal desire to innovate. I'd rather anybody that I was working with go stack cash in the corner because it works. And then if you truly want to innovate, okay, right? But remember, there is, your buyers are looking for simpler solutions, things that they can implement. They have strengths, they have weaknesses, they have things that they will do, things that they won't do. And it's and understanding that is part of the process. So we talked about the why, we talked about the wins. The way is iterative. It's very iterative. Even though you have the exact blueprint, you've invested in something, you have the exact blueprint. It's not like you're in the dark. When you were in Mexico, did you go through the cave? You had to
Yes.
go through
Oh, yes.
Okay, me too. And so, right. So it's sometimes hard to explain, but you had this like pitch black cave that you had to walk through for 20 minutes. And you really learn to trust yourself, and you have to feel your way through this way. And I don't know, did you run into a couple of ropes that hit you about waist high?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Kind of a sacred experience. It was neat.
It was very neat, right? And so, and you go barefoot, and there's water, and there's rocks, and there's sand, and there's bushes, and there's all sorts of things. But you can come out the other side because the people did it for, have been doing it for years. I don't know if you had anybody that before they went in, and then they turned around and came out. Did you have that?
The girl right next to me is one of the ones that had to wave her hands, and they had to come help her. Right? Okay. Yeah, right. It happens.
Yeah. So what is it? What is it? Right? People think that rather than trusting the process, that there's something that they don't like, and they don't see themselves as the person that came out the other side. They want it. They lose the focus of going through. They lose the focus of the challenge that's there, because it is challenging. You don't know what to do. You don't know if you should put your foot. Like, was that water? Was that supposed to be there? Doesn't matter. It is there. That's the thing. It is there.
It is
there, and you have to move through it. And this is the biggest thing with going through this cave. And it's not short. It takes 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how speedy you are, or if you just want to hang out there.
How nervous you are.
Yeah, maybe how nervous you are, but the determination has to get to the other side, because this is the process. This is what you've decided to go through. No matter, as entrepreneurs, we've made a decision. We sucked ourselves in deeply into this vortex. We've taken on an unreasonable situation. It's not reasonable. Most of this stuff is crazy, right? And in a lot of cases, all entrepreneurs want to build something rather than buy something, right? By the way, it's an option. You could buy somebody's thing. Yeah. You don't have to actually build everything. It's so weird in this world. It's like it's all build. No, there's a choice. It's called build or buy. But whole other conversation. But the thing about going through the cave is, what did you see when you got out? Because what I saw when I got out was a sign up top that said, "What the mind believes, the body can achieve."
Yes.
Right?
We had the same path. That was my exact sign. Yep.
Yeah. So when you come out, so this is important. If there's anything worth sharing, like if you believe it's dark and scary and their best option is to turn around, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
But if you asked your future self, "Hey, Vince, 15 years from now, do you want to remember that you backed out? Or do you, as scary as this is, do you want to go forward? As unknown as this is, do you want to go forward?" And so in a lot of cases, and entrepreneurship's, half as scary as that cave, I'm telling you.
Right.
Right. But that's kind of the thing, because the way is mostly figured out for you. Mostly. You have to do some things, and you could say, "Hey, that was fun. but that cave's not for me. I needed something different, right? But when you understand your avatar, when you understand your offer, when you understand the things that some of the major components that bring to success to all those that find it, they never go back. And there's a reason, is because it's usually predictable and repeatable. And if you won the lottery, okay, great. Then
Right.
you're going to have to still go back to the beginning. But that's not typical, is it? Right, Sarah? It's not typical.
Not in my life. No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of to go there, that the way's the way. There's a lot of things that you need to do, but the one thing that you don't need to do is you don't need to radically innovate someone's process. But you can definitely carve your own process once you get going. And I think the last thing I'll say in this section is you need to trust yourself. You need to trust your view. There's a lot of great people in our world, and if you ask them a question, they're going to give you an answer. And the opportunity for them to help is great. But you might, if they're willing, you might need to give them greater context. And in a lot of cases, when that happens with me, usually my answer is, okay, well, with that fact in mind, you should continue to do what you're doing. If it's predictable, it's repeatable, this is what you need. If you're not getting the results, get someone to assess you going through that process. And if there's some things that have room for improvement, because again, we talk a lot about new opportunities, right? Like nobody wants to sell something that's not a new opportunity. But once you're in the new opportunity, improvement and repair is a real thing.
Right.
Okay. Once you're in the new opportunity, if the new opportunity is for Russell, it's websites are dead, online sales funnels. But once you're in, you're looking for people who can help you to improve your funnel and to fix or repair your funnel as well, right? And we talked about that in 2CCX. We did a whole video section on that. We trained a lot on that. New opportunity, that's where people come in. Then it becomes, okay, now it's improvement. Now, and from time to time, it's repair, so that you have high proficiency in that skill set.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I feel like we've been so richly fed by what has allowed you to be so constant and so effective as a coach. It's just amazing to see what are the foundations here about you, Vince, that really, really make you effective. So I want to ask you a couple of personal questions as we come near the end of our time here. The first one is, what is your why?
My why at the moment, and I don't expect this to change anytime soon, but for the last 4 years, I've been fortunate enough the last 4 funnel hacking lives, I've been fortunate enough on awards night to be the first person that people meet when they come to the stage. And that's my why. That's the why, right? That's the why right now. Because, Dave or Russell or both of them talked about ripples and how, what we do matters. That pretty sure Dave came up with that. But anyway, what we do, Dave Woodward, full credit to Dave, and we miss him. But, Dave talked about what we do matters and the ripples that cast out of that. And so sometimes it's hard to imagine, what if I'm not here, right? And there's plenty of great people. I'm not saying I need to be here, but that's been it. And just to be able to see how much great work we're all doing, and it's highly rewarding on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
I love that. I love that why. And secondary, going to give you a moment to just brag on yourself for a minute. What innate gifts do you believe you have that make you so good at what you do?
I don't believe most people's premises. And even though you can be successful, but you said superpower, did you? Or like what makes me stronger, whatever.
What makes you so good at what you do? Yeah.
So it's not seeking proof. It's challenging things that make sense that maybe are still not right. And this is the right, because business optimizes. For all the coaching that I do, I've always been very much a numbers person. I'm not the accountant though. I want the results that the accountants and the data scientists give me. Like there's things that I want to see. Why? Because in most cases, most most businesses, especially corporate, it's about safety, right? It's like, let's find the median to this. Let's get everybody, or to the average. Let's get everybody to the middle, and it's safety zone, right? But if you're in business and nobody is taking a skateboard off the side of the mountain, like, you're never going to know where the edges are.
Right.
You're never going to know where the real opportunities are. Somebody else is going to do that, right? Why not you? Like 90+% of your business should be kind of in the safe zone, but there's that other kind of 10%. And so I think that, my ability to not just accept that the middle of the road is where you need to play. Like, it doesn't make any sense when you're starting out not to refine your buyers at your buyer persona. It doesn't make any sense at all to refine your offer in a manner that doesn't do anything. And I know people say, Vince, like, tried and true. Let's kind of do some of that. But there's plenty of examples in this world where that's not really the case. You look at someone like Annie Grace with the alcohol experiment and all the work that she's doing in that realm. There's nobody that would tell you that, oh, that was obvious. No, it wasn't obvious. There's
Right.
no way, right? There's nothing is there. There's no proof of prior art in that space on that, even though you can take components of it and make it go, well, she had a book and then she used funnels and then but in that space, no.
Didn't make sense.
Nobody did it. So, it's in everything you do with this Unreasonable Autonomy podcast, there's, you can, just in the name itself, right? Like it's already baked in that we don't believe everything. We don't, like, there's 10 or 15 or 20% of the stuff. Like, you need to color outside the lines.
I love that.
Right?
I love that.
Not for the FTC, but we say that.
Yeah.
But you do need to color outside the lines to get attention, to help you and your customers, clients, whatever you want to call them, get unreasonable results. All right, that we're branding a little bit, but we want them to get kind of uncommon, unreasonable results, because otherwise we're just putting them into diminishing returns. Ad costs are going up, and the cost to acquire a customer is going up, and all these kind of things. When people complain about it, I'm like, sounds like you're doing the same thing you've always done, that a lot of people are always doing, and you're not playing in a new space, right? And so, so that's, if there's something that's a little uncommon for me, that's the first thing I really want to know.
Oh, I love it. And I would say you are in many ways living proof of that. Mm-hmm. When I hear your story of, starting coaching, what was it, 5 or 7 or 9 years ago, and kind of being put into this place where it was like, I have the frameworks and the curriculum, but you just very softly said, and then it was just a matter of repetition to get better, right? And there was this obsession within you of mastery in your craft that, okay, I'm not like 10 years deep into this, but I believe in Russell and Todd's mission and Dave's mission. And I'm here in a scenario where I believe in what they're doing. And so I'm going to show up, and I'm going to continue to try this to get better.
Yeah. 100%. And there's people like you and many others, but you and I are on this podcast, so we get to talk well of each other.
Yeah, we do.
and so that do much the same thing. And it's, and it's powerful. Like, we're two of many in this space, and there's other groups and there's other spaces, and there's people doing really great things, with VC money, and there's really great things happening all over the world, and a lot of those things they hold true. I mean, that's where a lot of those lessons come from, right? I've never really seen the exact same two businesses come up on the stage to collect their awards. They all have something very unique about them. And so, I see it kind of as my job is to find that uniqueness so that they can make that, their badge of honor, their superpower, whatever it's going to be, that it sings, it comes out front, and they figure out how to use that. It's part of their why, it's part of their way, it's part of the win. But the biggest thing is it's them. And that's that power that I look for that.
Oh man. And I know that Funnel Hacking Live stage is over for now, but I will, if I ever see it again, I'm going to just remember your why of being able to witness that. We're going to move on to a couple of rapid fire questions. I feel like you have just over delivered for us today. And thank you for the impact, the ripple effect that you've had on so many, my life included, and some of my friends' lives. And it really is just exceptional to get to know you and what makes you tick. And I hope that we will never forget the power of the why and the way and the win, and how those puzzle pieces can help us really, really impact the world as entrepreneurs. So in typical podcast fashion, Vin, what is a book that every entrepreneur should read? It's the worst question ever. And you can't say Russell's because that's a cheat.
All right. Okay. This is easy because I mentioned it. I mentioned it before. Everybody, seriously, I hope I sell 10,000 of this guy's books.
Oh, good. Let's do it.
Yeah. I'm blanking on I'm actually blanking on the name. I mentioned earlier, Benjamin Hardy's The Future of You Now.
Be your future self now?
Yes, thank you.
Boom.
Okay. Dr. Benjamin Hardy's Be Your Future Self Now. It's required reading. It's required practicing. There isn't anything else. If you don't think in those terms on a regular basis, what would Vince of 2050 say to me right now? Not because he had all the answers, but because he knew my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? The whole SWOT thing, just knew like, this is the path that you need to be on. Not that it made me $100 million, but it put me on the right path.
The right path.
The right path.
I love that so much. I love that. Okay, so Be Your Future Self Now. We will put it there in the show notes. Beautiful. Second is, what is a bucket list item that you have not yet done?
A bucket list.
I already know one of them.
Do you?
Yellowstone Ranch.
Oh, yeah. Well, there is. Okay, so for those of you that have seen the Yellowstone show, Yellowstone Ranch, I was mentioning earlier that the plan is to get through there. That's definitely it. You know, the funny thing is, I could tell you that the one thing that I never speak of very often is just having. It's weird. Okay, I'm going to say it. Like nice little cottage property on a lake, just kind of hanging out, you know, and just someplace to get away for the weekend. That's the bucket. Yeah,
that's the bucket list. I know a place. I will Voxer you.
Okay.
I know. Right?
Okay.
Brilliant. Okay. And very last question. And this one is often just a little bit more introspective. When you think about those closest to you and you think about the end of your life, what do you hope that they say about you?
Oh man, it's a tough one. I've lost a lot of people.
Oh.
Yeah, in my life. Yeah. Well, and I know what I say about them.
Any of those that you would want to be said about you as well?
No, because they were different people. I've had friends that are kind of my age, or when they passed, we were of the same age, and then family. That's a really good question. Okay, this is probably not tombstone worthy. Okay, but
sure.
If my friends and family kind of said, you know what, Vince, he just never grew up, that'd be okay.
That is tombstone worthy.
Okay.
There is your epitaph. There is your epitaph. Yeah, I love it so much. I love it so much. And I would say that fun part of you comes out in your coaching and being with you in person. I think you are well on your way. I really do.
All right. Very cool.
Well, a huge thank you to the amazing Vince Green. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the impact that you're having on the world, and excited for future conversations to come. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Unreasonable Autonomy podcast. If you loved this episode, my guests and I would love to hear about it. Go to the show notes to reach out and let me know what resonated with you or what topics or guests you want to hear in the future. I am here to create for you. Look, I deeply admire your commitment to pushing boundaries and going after an unreasonable life. Keep dreaming big, taking bold steps, and expecting the unreasonable. For more, go to the show notes to dive deeper into the conversations that will keep you going. Thanks for being here.